GSL.
Welcome back to GSL VODs. We're going to be going into game number 3 shortly here. So far, Sue up with a 2-0 lead. True played really well in game number 1, but I mean, Sue managed to Sue managed to keep it together at the very, very end. Game number 2, I mean, Sue was unstoppable. Yeah,
he stomped that little aggression into the ground and just played perfectly from there. Went right into mutas, and when you're ahead like that, you're not going to lose when you go into mutas. So really great play by Sue, but True played so well in that first game that I don't want to call it over yet. Even though, like, a lot of people are looking at it like, oh, Sue just outclasses him.
Well, I do
True played so godly in the beginning of game 1.
I do feel that True is probably still discouraged from game number 1. We were looking at this, and I mean, True, it was, if you missed it, it was so sick. He overmaxed. He was at like 230 supply.
He was at 229.
Yeah, 229.
I think that's the highest I've seen in the last like 3 years.
We don't really.
I think I saw Sen get that high once against like MC or something.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. But Sue had the upgrade lead and definitely had patience on his side, and eventually got ahead with his own roaches, broke out, and it was a really clean win. It really goes to show you why Sue is always getting this far in tournaments nowadays. Excuse me. He just zoned out that huge army of Trues, sent 3 roaches to get rid of that expansion, and from there he lost. And I got to say, if I'm True in this situation, I'm probably pretty mad at myself. I should have won game number 1. Now I got slapped down in game number 2.
Yeah.
Right now, guys, Sue only needs 2 more wins out of the rest of the games today.
That's true.
To move on. And let me tell you something. If Sue gets up 3-0 after this map, I do not think True is going to recover.
No.
That's going to be a pretty tall order.
You know, True's getting better and better. Like, we saw him against Zest last week, I guess it was. And he played, like, really, really well. He's not just a cheeser anymore. But I think he's not, like, fully fleshed out yet. Whereas Sue is fully fleshed out because, like, game number 1, that's all that's telling me is, like, he made the smallest mistake and just kept trying to kill because his strat was so good.
Yeah.
But he needs to be able to back out of that, and if he can't, Sue might be able to get him here 4-0 even.
Let's see what happens. This is game number 3 between Sue and True.
Round 4, Sue versus True.
A lot of cheers here in the studio. Don't know if you guys heard that at home, but a lot of people cheering right now for True.
That's right.
I'm sorry, Artos, is there Kleenex on your side of the table? I got this runny nose. All right, I'm just going to be a
here. Use my sleeve.
I'm just going to be a booger nerd here for this cast.
You're gross. Booger nerd.
The booger nerd. Tastes, a.k.a. the booger nerd. Welcome to the studio, guys.
Are you boogers the color of those shirts?
Almost, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
So far, no deviation here in builds. They're both just droning up. While you were gone, this is an old game. I'm curious if you played it, if you remember it. It just out of nowhere, I had the impulse. I went and bought it. I beat it this weekend. Do you remember this game called Myst?
Yeah, of course.
Old game?
Well.
Yeah. I just got it. They've remade it, actually.
Yeah.
I just got it. Yeah, it's
cool.
Pretty fun puzzle game. You know?
Yeah. I remember my older brother bought that back when we had a PC, back when, like, Myst came out. And, like, I wasn't super into it then. Like, I kind of sat there and watched him play a lot. But I didn't, like, personally play the whole game through.
I played it through. Beat it in a day.
It has a sequel.
Yeah, Riven. I don't know if Riven's actually good or not.
I think there's actually a Myst 2.
No, it goes all the way up to 5. After I beat it, I read a bunch of stuff on it because for the time when that game was made. Do you know that was the #1 selling PC game of all time until The Sims came out?
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I remember it was so popular.
When I played it, I was a kid. I must have been like in 2nd grade or something. I was like, I don't even
We were
understand.
pretty young
I'm
when
on
it
an
came out.
island and I don't even understand what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But
there's no
going
guys
back,
to fight.
there's no monsters. There's there's nothing. But yeah, I was curious if you had ever played that because I just went back and beat it. Definitely a game. If you guys want to, taste a piece of gaming history, go back and you can get it on Steam now. But
I gotta
puzzle game.
Call my mother and see if she can find
the CD-ROM
for Windows 3.11 or whatever it was I played it on back
3.1.
then.
Yeah, Windows 3.1. That's so funny.
Right.
So we have both players now about to finish up their hatches. The builds again synced up here. 2 lings out for one player, 2 lings being made for the other, and they're just getting their queens. Not much we can tell you guys right now.
No, it's pretty mirrored. Oh, that's cool. I like it when Zergs get the same start a lot of the time. Not every time, but it really goes to show like I like watching the same build up to a point and then looking, okay, this is the exact point they deviated. Here are the strengths and weaknesses of both sides and how they have to deal with that.
It's fun because we get to have this kind of science experiment moment. Like, what happens with these 2 builds? I mean, these guys are both Code S players, and most likely not going to make a few mistakes here with control, or be a little bit late, transferring drones or anything like that. So you really get to learn the mirror matchup that way.
Yeah. All right, so there's both pretty much stay on paths that are similar here. Sue does grab 2 gases. No gases yet for True, so True may be going for a more mineral-heavy type of build. We'll see in just a moment here.
Here come the lings now, and they're going to get a surround there on that queen. Also miscontrol there for a sec.
A little bit of a miscontrol for sure.
Cover me!
Wow.
Too late.
Wow.
Okay, so again, Sue off to a good start here.
I think he was going to get that no matter what, but...
Yeah, still, Sue off to a bad start here, man.
True.
True off to a bad start. Sue off to a good start, excuse me.
Yeah, for sure. That you definitely have to give a small lead because of that. He was being a little bit greedy, chasing that Overlord down again, and he did this previously. Sue was ready for it this time, though.
Okay, and Sue now expands here. You can really see Sue's personality, on air, like his confidence transfer over into the way these games play out. I was positive True was going to crush him after we saw the Roach 229 supply max out. I'm like, oh, damn,
that's pretty sick.
Sue's like, well, I'm just going to be really patient here, and oh my god, this is another...
Oh, I think the drone actually would have won that for sure. Yeah, he had 2... Yeah. I'm like almost completely sure he wins that, but anyways, don't want to lose a drone to a link.
Another little lead here, though, for Sue again. Delaying that expansion.
Yeah.
True seems to be a bit shaken up now here in game number 3 in this series.
Yeah, everything about Sue's build seems a bit better this game. He's getting speed and a few lings to kind of poke around and prod. He killed a queen. He's got a quicker 3rd base. His layer is like just slightly quicker. And that means that he's going to have like speed. He's going to have his +1 just slightly slower, but that's okay. It's not that much slower. Everything looks great for him.
Another small bump in the road here for True. He loses that Overlord. A dozen lings now being made. Meanwhile, 6 roaches here for True. Notice he's pulled a good number of those lings down here. And now they're off. They're headed northbound over there to that 3rd base.
He doesn't see it yet, by the way.
Yeah, because he got rid of that Overlord. This actually could snowball very quickly here.
Can he cause a cancel? With 11 roaches about to pop out and the creep not that far over, I think he's going to cause a cancel, Tasteless. If he goes for it, but he doesn't actually. He's going for the throat. A very strong move that I don't think is going to work out as well as he thinks.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got to agree with you, Artosis. I think it would have been better to go for that hatch, but he's doing a good amount of damage here to these roaches. He backs up. Now I guess he's going to try to go for this hatch.
Yeah, he won't be able to quite get it, I don't think.
I don't think so.
There's enough roaches coming at him. He should be able to save it, but it is taking a lot of damage, so he might be able to kill it later. That was a bit greedy by Sue.
Yeah,
he was looking to like have that snowball with roaches just popping out instead of having popped out on his way across the map.
You know what that really was? That was the difference between taking an opportunity to be guaranteed to be ahead or trying to take a risk and really win the game from there.
Well, more and more nowadays, professional StarCraft II is about taking slight risks to get way ahead rather than just slowly but surely building your lead. It's kind of an interesting switch up that we've seen, but that is without any question, at least in the Korean scene, that is something that has occurred quite a bit. It's very decisive moves that we're seeing all the time, and He tried it. It didn't work out. So, you know, the funny thing is after that, I would give a slight lead now to True. After that not working, he spent a lot of larva and money on those lings. They didn't really do anything. And now we do have, you know, a drone lead. Is not a supply lead yet because there's still a lot of army for Sue, but better economy for True.
10 more roaches now for Sue coming up here. The upgrades are synced up here for both sides. And what we have here now is a macro hatch. So the first macro hatch going down now for True. Sue's shouldn't be that much farther off here.
Yeah, I would like to see it. I really like it when Zergs get a macro hatch.
Well, it's pretty tough to break a Zerg 3 bases with an extra macro hatch. It's pretty tough to overwhelm your roaches in a fight like that. They just get out too quickly.
Even like if someone has a macro hatch and the other one doesn't, even if they miss like an extra transfuse and stuff, it doesn't matter as much, especially on the main base queen because they can do double time duty. You know, use up that energy. It's almost like the macro hatch kind of makes larva eject in a certain way. It makes it more like mules, where like, oh, I forgot to drop my mule. Now I'll drop 2 mules, and when they're both dead, I've gotten the same amount than if I had dropped the first one on time. It's not as good, obviously, but just kind of a neat little thing there because you get a ton of larvae suddenly anyways, so.
He did goop that hatchery over there at third base. Don't think that's going to allow him to actually get in.
Yeah.
Also note True with a pretty substantial supply lead now. And Sue actually sending the roaches and queens all the way up here. He's going to start. I don't know if that is for Sue.
Yeah, he's way behind in army right now. But you know what? He's got these queens here. And where are the rest of his roaches? True does not have every roach right here.
They're coming down
there
now, and that's where they're at. And this is really, really bad here for Sue. In fact, he's going to end up winning this entire battle and taking out these queens and everything else.
Yeah. Well, that was definitely a blunder by Sue. I'm confused why he thought he had so many more units, but he doesn't even have a macro hatch at home. True has so many units right now. He's up by so much army supply. He can actually just roll into this third base, and it's not a bad choice
I think if we're going to go to 2-1 here, Sue's still in the lead, but True is starting to come back now. And this is actually just so many roaches. This is really scary. Again, as you were saying, Sue doesn't have a macro hatch, but he does seem to have a good concave around here. The additional roaches come by.
You know, we are close to his rally point, so it's very, very important. But just overall, True has a lot more roaches. We can see right here, he just has more and more coming down, and it looks like Sue just can't hold on to this.
This should be GG there. There we go.
You know, I feel like this victory, this one kind of caught me off guard, the way that Sue went about things.
Well, let's go back to that ling attack there. I mean, that, again... But I think that Sue actually, if he'd gotten that hatch, would have been in perfectly good shape because he could have forced the cancel and actually gotten out and kept the lings and been safe from the counter attack.
That's true, and I think you're right about that. I think that would have been a superior move. Well, we know in hindsight it would have been a superior move, but at the moment, was it a superior decision? That's a harder question to answer. But another piece of this that I really want to point out, that piece was huge, the ling attack not working, but another piece, I really do think, you were mentioning that he was scooping the hatch.
Yep.
If you're both on 3 bases at similar times and you goop the hatch a couple times, you can just have more roaches and make that work, especially with 2 queens.
None of your opponents got a macro hatch.
Bam, exactly.
True's getting 3 hatches versus 3 hatches. Like
True's getting earlier macro hatches than we normally see in this type of situation. And this might be throwing off Sue a little bit. In practice, is he playing against people that are getting the macro hatch this early, which actually completely negates the power of the goop. Like, you think that goop is really great?
The power of the goop, yeah.
The power of the goop is greatly diminished when you have an extra hatchery and your opponent does not. Your opponent is not then actually outproducing you on larva. He's not. So, kind of an interesting little side note there.
We're going to go to the next map, which is Frost. Let's see how True does in this game here. I got to note, though, overall, Sue just playing a lot better. Sue really looked sharp. He made that one bad move and lost the game. Because up until that point, by the way, he was ahead. He had a bunch of mini victories. He killed the queen. He just slowed down the third hatch. And he even picked off that Overlord to surprise the opponent with a ling. So let's see. I think True, again, still needs to stab it up a little bit more. But anything can happen here. Again, the winner between out of these 2 players does go on to the finals here. The GSL Code.